Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
What about other friends joining?
Yes, ma'am. On the way.
Okay, on the way. Now start studying about the revision of the service marketing.
Ma'am,
Yes.
this year, how they're going to conduct the exam? Like online or to come to the college and
No idea, no idea. But at least we are thinking of conducting CCEs online.
CC?
Your assignments, concurrent evaluations online.
Okay. Like we have to write and
Yes.
you have
So
to
that's
mail.
why start preparing for service marketing. As soon as we finish, we start with our concurrent evaluations.
Like we have to write assignments and then send it to you, right? By a mail.
Let's see. You will get a mail. I will give you the idea, Mehal. Right now, you just start revision.
Okay, ma'am.
So I think I finished with the segmentation part. Now we go with the positioning of services. Now, when you have come up with the segment, when you have decided a segment, then comes the part of positioning of the services. Like we had seen for positioning of products. Now here, the first and foremost objective is to create distinctive place of service. Now here, maybe you may have a number of hotels in a particular area. Okay, but maybe a particular hotel is very much crowded on the weekends. Is that the experience which we come across, isn't it? So what makes the difference for this particular service? That is, it means to create distinctive place of service, maybe something different you offer so that the customer is satisfied, the customer is ready to wait outside to render the service. He's ready to pay for your services. So something unique, your own identity, or service provider has to create his own identity. It means to provide the competitive edge. Now, in this competitive world, an attempt to convey attractiveness of the service to the target market is very challenging, and the companies have to think about it, that how they can come up with some strategy that is driving the customers from the competitors towards yourselves, towards your services. That is what it means. The next objective is intangibilizing the service into the more tangible frame. That is, we were discussing in the strategies of services also, that tangibilize your services. Now, how can you tangibilize your services? Maybe you add the physical evidence part more so that the services become distinct. The services become more prominent. That is what it means. Redesign the existing services. Redesigning, that is, whatever services you have, you can think of remolding them with the changes in the time, with the change in the technology. You can think of using some interface between the customers and the service provider, so that the customer gets the convenience So to fulfill these objectives, the positioning of services can be used for these purposes. The next is positioning services. Now, what is basically a image of service? The process of designing a service has an impact on the image of the services in the minds of the customers. Now, when we say it's an image of service, which is the sum, that is the total of, or altogether, we can say it includes the beliefs, the attitude, and the impressions of a person of a group towards that object. Okay, usually we define this as the image. Now, in case of services, these beliefs, attitude, and impressions of the customers towards the service provider is an important role here. Now, when as a customer, you take into consideration your attitudes or you carry certain beliefs about the quality of service, then only you spread the word of mouth publicity. If you are not satisfied, if you does not carry these beliefs, impressions, or attitudes, then you cannot recollect them very easily. You cannot recollect about the services which were rendered. These are the past experiences. These past experiences lead ahead, move ahead. Now, the purpose of planned positioning is to establish and maintain a distinctive and desirable place for itself or its particular offering in the competitor, in the customer's mind relative to competing organization. That is, uh, when you have your competitors upfront, there should be such a service provided by an organization wherein the customers should easily differentiate between a service provider and its competitor. If a customer is satisfied, definitely he is going to differentiate between the services. Now, it is important to establish a position of value for the product or service in the minds of the target market. That means we are speaking of features or attributes which are critical to customers' satisfaction. Every service offered has the potential to be perceived by the customer as different. Customers who buy services have different needs and therefore are attracted to different services. Now here the distinguishing characteristics of satisfaction may be the importance of the service for the customers, maybe the distinctiveness, that is something different in the services, in the offerings. There may be certain thing which is superior from the point of view of customers in the services. Affordability is one of the very important factors. Affordability, that is how much is this affordable for the customers. If something is of a very good quality, they are rendering very good service, but it's not affordable for the customer, then it is out of his or her question to go for such type of services. Delivering to customer is the primary aim of any service provider. Unless and until there is a benefit, the customer will not come to the service provider. This is the very basic thing. If the customer receives some benefit from the service, is going to get satisfied. If going to get satisfied, maybe next time he can again come to the same service provider. And through this, that the trust builds, the relationship between the customer and the service provider builds here. Now, we had seen the positioning of the intangibles in the goods services continuum. So here always positioning of goods becomes much more simpler and easier as compared to these services because of its characteristics. In case of positioning of intangibles, there are various steps in developing effective positioning strategies. The first one is market positioning. The second one is psychological positioning, which includes objective positioning as well as subjective positioning. And the third step is positioning approaches. Now let's see if the first one, market positioning. Now, what is this market positioning? It is a process of identifying and selecting markets or segments. So here you select the markets or different segments that represent business potential to determine the criteria for competitive success. Competitive success, here already there are some competitors which are offering the same services. So you are not the pioneer and hence you go for market positioning. Thorough knowledge of needs, wants, and perception of the target market and benefits offered by the service provider are of prime importance here in case of market positioning. Now, the benefit lies in the mind of the customer and at their mind only by asking customer. Now, here the market research is taken up to determine the expectation and benefits of the customer. Only after gathering this information can a service offering match the strengths to the needs and the benefits of the customers here. The next is the psychological positioning. Now here it enables marketers to create a unique product image with the objective of creating interest and attracting the customers. Now since it exists solely in the mind of the customers, it can occur automatically without any effort on the part of marketers, and any kind of positioning may occur here. Now, there are two kinds of psychological positioning. One is the objective positioning and the other one is the subjective positioning. Objective positioning relates to the objective attribute of the physical product. It is concerned with the creation of image of service offering that reflects physical features and functional features. So we are speaking of service scape here. As far as the objective positioning is considered, it relates to service scape of the services, where the physical features or the physical evidence and the functional attributes play a very important role. Now, the degree of objective positioning depends upon the uniqueness of features, how much unique it is, a particular service. It depends upon that, this objective positioning. The more you give the feature, the more you take into consideration the physical evidence aspect, the more is the objective positioning here. Now, what is subjective positioning? Attributes of the service offering. That means it is the mental perception image and other attributes perceived by the customer. Now here in case of objective positioning is the physical features of the physical evidence. But subjective, it depends upon the individual customers, their experiences. All the customers, those who are rendering the service from the same service provider, might not be satisfied to the same extent. So the subjective positioning is one of the factor which is responsible for the variation in the satisfaction levels of the customers. Third is positioning approaches. Now there are several approaches to positioning a service offering. Now the service marketers may select an appropriate approach from the positioning Now the positioning, this includes positioning by attributes, features or customer benefits. Now marketers, while using this approach, place emphasis on benefits of a particular feature or attributes of the offering, like positioning by price value. Now value for money can be utilized for positioning the offering effectively. So here they give more weightage to the economics, that is what you are giving and what you are getting. Here for positioning. The next is positioning by use of application or usage, you can say. That is, service offering is positioned on the basis of reason for its use. That is why you are using this service. There should be maybe it's convenience, maybe it's nearby, maybe it's comfortable, maybe it's the reach, maybe it's the quality, whatever it is, for what sake, that is application or use. The next is positioning based according to the users or class of users. So here that is targeting the segments. This relates to consumer segments using a service offering. For example, airline targets the holiday resorts target domestic tourists on vacation, adventurous travelers for trekking, and religious travelers for the places of pilgrimage, and corporate bodies for business conferences, workshops, etc. So here positioning should be done according to the segment or the class of customers. Position with respect to the services. Now, this positioning could be based on functional benefits as well as symbolic or emotional benefits. Now, this relates to the experiences, the customer who carries experiences like event. Positioning against competition. So here in this between this service providers, so use you can present. Now positioning by quality dimension like reliability, assurance, tangibility, empathy and responsiveness, which are usually related to the quality dimensions of the offering of a product. So here marketer can think of using any of these mixes while positioning of the product or the service, I mean. Now here, as we had discussed, that positioning and proper mix of positioning is a challenge, and the organization has to give a lot of impetus while coming up with this, while discussing these things or moving ahead with the positioning. Now, the positioning maps usually help these organizations in positioning the services. Now, what are these positioning maps? The positioning maps is also referred as a perceptual map. Perceptual map, what goes on in the minds of the customer. If we consider a consumer's mind space as allotting specific positions for various organizations, extent of competition of an organization or its offering faces depending upon the distance between organization and its offering in question and the competing organization and their offerings. Now here, simply it says that suppose if we give options to the customers, okay, so there should be a perfect match between what the service provider is offering and what is going on in the customer's mind, or what, into which category the customer fits. For example, if you take the pricing, at the one extreme there is premium pricing, and at the other extreme it is the average pricing. Definitely, whenever to the luxury or the experience, okay, the awful experience wherein the customer enjoys that part or that position of the quadrant. While if you consider the other, that is the cheapest or the average part, so it is mapped with the same services which would be rendered as cheap or average. So here, such marks help the service provider to position their services. So each and every organization should go for such type of mapping, whether it be a healthcare industry, whether it be retail outlets, or a museum, or a garden, or theme parks. They will have to take these mapping into consideration. Now the next part, which is very important, is managing relationships in service marketing. Now first and foremost, when the customer who has not rendered the services, they are the strangers for the organizations. Those who have not held any transactions with the firm and may not be aware of the firm also. So they are the strangers. So first and foremost thing, or the first level for the organization, is to make the person, the stranger, aware of the firm or the existence of the organization. So the primary goal of this organization is to initiate communication with this strange customer so that the stranger gets attracted towards the organization. Now, maybe we have seen that there are pamphlets which are thrown at our doorsteps, or in the newspapers they are circulated. That is just making the customers or making the strangers aware about the products or services available. So here the first and foremost initiation from the organization part is making the people aware that the service provider exists. Then the next step comes as customers become the acquaintances. That is, they get acquainted with the service provider. Once customer is aware and trials are achieved, familiarity is established, and the customer and the firm become acquainted to each other. The primary goal for the firm at this stage is satisfying the customer. Here, firms generally are concerned about the value proposition or provide a comparable set of values to the customers so that it has a long-term effect in the minds of the customer. Such type of repetitive interactions improve the firm's knowledge of the customer, helping to facilitate marketing, sales, and service efforts. Thus, every now and then if the customer starts coming for the services, then the relationship develops between the customer and the service provider. An acquaintance relationship facilitates transactions through reduction in the customer's perceived risks. So here, as and when the customer starts becoming familiar with the service provider, he starts gaining more trust on this service provider. And slowly, they may be friends also. And ultimately, this friendship may be turned into partners. As the customer continues to interact with the firm, the level of trust often deepens and the customer may receive more customized product offering and interaction. So maybe if you are visiting a nearby outlet, fast food outlet or a hotel very repeatedly, so there is a possibility that you get acquainted with the people working there and maybe they can cut down your waiting time. They will just welcome you with a smile and immediately offer you a table. The deepening of trust and the establishment of commitment reduces the customer's need to solve problems in traditional sense of finding a better alternative. Now, this is the key to the success for them. It is the firm's ability to organize and use information about individual customers more effectively here at this stage. In this stage, the firm is concerned with enhancing the relationship. The customers are more likely to stay in relationship if they feel the company understands their needs and much more their care is taken by constantly improving the services. Now, if you think of the aim of this relationship marketing, as the relationship value of a customer increases, the provider is more likely to pursue a closer relationship. Now here the main aim of this relationship marketing is to build and maintain a base of committed customers who are profitable for the organization. The overriding goal is to move customers up from the ladder, that is from the point of stranger to the point wherein they have developed a mutual trust and confidence on the service provider. That is what is expected. From a customer's problem-solving perspective, the formation of satisfaction, trust, commitment corresponds to customer's willingness to engage in the exchange relationship with this service provider. So a close acquaintance between the service provider and the customer develops at this stage. And it should develop, that basic aim or goal of the relationship marketing. Now this relationship marketing is beneficial for both the parties, for the customers as well as the service providers. Now, if you take into consideration from the perspective of customers, it builds confidence for the customers. The human nature is such that most customers would prefer not to change a service provider, particularly when there is a considerable investment in the relationship. This relationship is not built on a single day in a single transaction. It takes a long time to develop the confidence of a customer on the service provider. So that is one of the benefits. Social benefits, since we are human beings, so over the time, the customer also develop a sense of familiarity and social relationship with the service provider. These ties make them much stronger. And the service provider may actually become a part of the customer's social support system also. This type of personal relationships can develop for B2B customers as well as for end consumers of services. These customers get the benefit of brand endorsees also. That is when they show the mirror image of these service providers to others, they become special or esteemed customers. And that's why they get some special treatment benefits also here. Which may include some special deals, prices, gift offers, hampers for such type of A-class customers who spread a positive word of mouth publicity to the other customers. Now, in case of benefit for the firms also, if you take into consideration the first type of benefit, it is the economic benefit. Relationship-oriented firms, they achieve higher overall returns on their investments here, since they have strived so much to achieve these customers. It becomes beneficially economically also for them. There is no need for advertising because these customers who are satisfied with their word of mouth publicity, they can bring their friends and their relatives, their acquaintances to these service providers. One of the most commonly cited economic benefits of customer retention is increased purchase over the time. So every now and then, there is no need for you to look for the new customers. These are the repeated customers who are not going to go anywhere but come to the same service provider. As they are satisfied with this service provider, they will not switch to any other service providers. Another economic benefit is lower costs. Maybe startup costs are associated with attracting new customers. Like they may include the tool of advertising and other promotional costs. But once the customer is satisfied, there exists the long-term relationship between these customers and the organization. And hence, the cost which is involved in promoting the services comes down day by day. Now, customer behavior benefits. The contribution that the loyal customers make to the service business can go well beyond their direct financial impact on the firm. Now here, the first and foremost may be the customer behavior benefit that the firm receives from long-term customers through their word of mouth publicity. One that sometimes it's labeled as a customer voluntary performance. For example, in a restaurant, such behavior might include customers leasing their own tables, reporting messy restrooms to an employee, or picking up trash in the parking lot. Such behaviors support the firm's ability to deliver quality services here. Now, apart from this, there are also human resource management benefits. Like loyal customers may also provide a firm with human resource management benefits. Because of their experience with and knowledge of the provider, they contribute to co-production of service by assisting in the service delivery. They often make more experienced customers the job much more easier. Another type of benefit is that for the customers, that loyal customers, they receive some social benefits as a result of being in relationship with the firm. Those customers who are regularly in contact with the service providers, they are liable for such type of social benefits. And the third benefit of customer retention is employee retention also. It is easier for the firms to retain employees when it is a stable base of satisfied customers. If every now and then the customers are also switching, then it becomes very difficult for the people to start from the scratch and build relationships. So next is the relationship value of customers. Relationship value of customers is a concept or calculation that looks at customers from the point of view of their lifetime revenue and profitability contributions to the company. This type of calculation is needed when companies start thinking of building long-term relationships with the customers. What are the factors that influence this relationship value? The lifetime or relationship value of a customer is influenced by the length of an average lifetime generated per relevant time period over the lifetime. That is the sales of additional products and services over time, or the referrals generated by customer over the time, and the costs associated with serving the customers. Now, lifetime value also sometimes is associated with lifetime revenue stream, or lifetime value really means the profitability. Now, how do you estimate the customer lifetime value? Now here, one way of documenting the value of customers is to estimate the increased value or profits that you need for additional customer who remains loyal to the company rather than defecting to the competition. That is, instead of switching on to the competitor, if the customer he revisits the premises and he becomes your loyal customers, then it becomes the lifetime value for the organization. With sophisticated accounting systems to document actual cost and revenue streams over time, a firm can be quite precise in documenting the value and the costs of the retaining customers. The systems attempt to estimate value of all the benefits and costs associated with the loyal customer, not just the long-term revenue stream. The value of word of mouth advertising, employee retention, and declining account maintenance calls also enter into this calculation. Now, linking the customer relationship value to the firm. Now, here there's emphasis on estimating the relationship value of customers that increased in the past decade. Now, here appreciation of the economic benefits with the retention of loyal customers. It seems that the relationship value calculations also provide a useful base for assessing the value of the firm. To the extent that a customer base forms a large part of company's overall value, such a calculation can provide an estimate of firm's value. And this figure is much more useful in the high growth firms for which additional work well here in this case. So here we say that linking or developing relationships with the customers proves fruitful in this case. What could be the relationship development strategies? There may be the core service provision. How do you retain a customer? Service quality and customer satisfaction are the two important things to build the core services, to make the provision for retaining a customer here. The companies have benefited tremendously from the loyal customer base who offer excellent quality and enhance the customer relationship. There are also switching barriers. This makes the service provider's role difficult when you think of building the relationships in this competitive market. The other important thing is challenge is customer inertia. That is, from customer side, the customer is inherent or maybe he's persistent about developing relationships here with the service providers. The next very important thing is the switching costs in this competitive era. The cost may be monetary as well as non-monetary. Both of them are included. And it depends upon the organizations how they calculate this, monetary as well as non-monetary. Many a times losing a single customer can prove to be a affect your overall customer base and the services. So in the next session, we will have a look at the